Okay, Jason, you were saying about your work and or political artwork.
You want me to restate?
No, just where you left off.
Well, I was left off saying, yeah, when I was younger, I guess the main reason for wanting to be an artist was to make a political statement, But I mean, I quickly learned that that's the best way for people not to look at your art. I mean, if they can see it right away and they know what you're saying without having to really think about it, they're just not gonna really engage it, and nothing's gonna happen in their mind, and so.
You'll be preaching to the choir essentially all the time.
Or people who don't agree and they just turn away. And like, so I mean, maybe it's a little subversive, but I would like to fool them into confronting, in the case of the works that I'm doing now, news stories that they probably don't read, or things are happening in the world they probably don't think about. And so, you do that with like some cartoony imagery, something that looks aesthetic, or it just makes you want to come up and look at, oh, I really like the way that looks, or the cartoon animals. I mean, everything looks kind of cute, and there's beautiful colors, and but then of course if they stand there long enough, they realize they're in the pit with all the hell, you know what I mean? So it's like
the animals are.
I don't know if they would appreciate that's my goal, but that's what it is.
So we were talking before about your news sources on some of the works, like here.
Yes.
This is a stream from
Fox News.
Fox News.
Literally taken off the ticker at the bottom of the television screen and isolated, and it streams for about 10 minutes. And this is on top of like a painting that is derived from a topographic map. So it's a landscape, but not a landscape that you look at. It's more a landscape that only can be described by the collection of information. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a different approach to the landscape. I mean, this is like the omnipresent view. You can only get this view from a satellite, and there's also some play with either it's a horizontal or looking down. But I don't always use the same kind of streams of information. I mean, there's lots of different sources of information. So Twitter is a source, the news off television is a source, print media, and I'll collate a bunch of headlines and put that together. I mean, it's clearly a way for me to bring in the politics, but it's only a small percentage of the visual aspect of the work. So
does it start with does the inspiration start with what's happening in the news? Do you start with the painting, the mapping? Where do you begin in terms of when new works come up for you?
Well, everything begins with this idea of landscape painting, but not landscape painting in the way that it has been done before. I mean, it doesn't. I used to do kind of more traditional, landscape paintings, but it just didn't seem to make any sense in the kind of age that we lived in. And I was, I was painting like rooftops, and there was wires. I noticed technological debris, and I was more interested in what is in between, or in the wires, or in between these antennas, or just I felt there was information all around us. We can't really see it, but it's there. It was like this idea of the ether or something. And so I started thinking painting landscapes in a direct way did not express what I was seeing in the world. And so the landscape, what's happening to the landscape, is my inspiration for everything, and that is clearly on some level political, and on another level like it's an environmental viewpoint.
Do you follow Al Jazeera English?
Sometimes I have an entire long stream of Al Jazeera.
I just started following them on Twitter. In addition to these other, I'm really trying to branch out. Do you follow a lot of these sources on Twitter as well, or how do you keep up with the news?
I have a lot of, my main source is that I tag things and categorize them using delicious.com. So, and then I'll take their RSS feed of each tag, and then I can basically take the text out and then reformulate it how I want, So that's like my main source. I do have lots of private lists on Twitter for different topics that I use, but that's more for getting information when I need it immediately, not necessarily for working with giant amounts of data, because I find Twitter still has a little bit to be desired in that area.
what, Twitter has something to be desired?
Well, it's just hard to go back in time and like,
Yeah.
you know, so there's some, it's a little clunky if you're trying to extract data, but if you, obviously, if you need something immediately, there's nothing better than Twitter. You know, you have to put a little effort into parse the feeds, but you know, if I hear like booming sounds from the sky, which happens a lot, unannounced fireworks, which if you lived in New York during 9/11, that always gets you a little scared. So I'll go right to one of my locked, you know, lists, and then I'll know if something's happening within a few seconds.
It's faster than the web. It's faster
Yeah.
than news sources. It's pretty extraordinary.
Absolutely.
The people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to continue chatting with you, but I wanted to just capture that part of our conversation for episode 6A of my new vlog series. So I thank you, Jason, for being my first artist studio visit. And that's a wrap.